How's it going, everyone? This is Weston Means with eXp Realty here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Here once again for your market update for the month of August 2023. We are in September, but as always, the numbers for the last month come out in the third week of the next month. So we're going to be looking at the data for August this year. Full disclaimer, going forward, I've made the decision that I'm only going to be focusing on Alameda, Contra Costa, and San Francisco counties for these market update videos. That's not to say that I do not serve any of these other counties that we used to look into, those being Santa Clara, San Mateo, and Marin counties. I still work in all those counties, but these three counties are the ones that are geographically closest to me living in Oakland. And so I'm really going to dive deep on these. These are my specialties, the ones that I serve most often. I do have teammates in other counties and I serve the entire Bay Area. If you have questions about other counties, feel free to get in touch with me and I can dive into the data on those counties with you as well. But just for the purpose of these videos, we're going to be focusing on those three counties. So pretty much just looking at the numbers, Alameda and Contra Costa counties are going through similar times right now. Basically, what's happened is interest rates are about 5% higher overall. And so what that's caused is a lot of sellers are deciding not to sell right now because they have interest rates that are in the 4s and 3s, some of them even below 3. And so those folks do not want to sell and have to trade their interest rates for higher rates, which is causing an extreme shortage of inventory. And on the other side, on the buyer side, there's lots of buyers that have been wanting to buy for the last 3-4 years, maybe even longer. They are starting to see an opportunity. Prices are fairly level with what they were last year, and when interest rates are low, they're typically climbing up and up year over year. And so a lot of these buyers are seeing an opportunity there. They're going to be able to get a price that's a little more fair than it would be if interest rates were low. Even though they're going to be paying more interest at the beginning, whenever rates go back down, they're going to be able to refinance into that lower monthly payment. And so that's kind of the strategy for a lot of buyers out there right now. San Francisco County is on a totally different trajectory ever since the pandemic. Prices have been actually in 2020, they were still going up quite a bit, but as people realized that remote work was going to be a thing that would continue into the future, a lot of people decided, hey, I don't need to be by the office anymore. I don't need to be in San Francisco. And so I saw a huge amount of buyers, a lot of them my clients, decide to move to other states like Arizona, Texas, and places like that instead of buying in the Bay Area since the prices here are so high. We're still seeing the effects of that happening to San Francisco even to this day. As we go through the numbers, you're going to see that Alameda and Contra Costa counties are fairly similar in the way that they have been reacting to this new interest rate change from last year. And then San Francisco is completely different. Things are staying on the market quite a bit longer. There's not a lot of competition, and so prices are actually down still from last year. Now let's dive into the numbers. So for Alameda County, we had a median price of 1.25 million. This was a decrease from July of 0.8%, very minimal there, and it's actually 2.5% higher than last year. What we're seeing there is despite the 5% plus higher interest rates, prices in Alameda County are still steadily climbing. They're not going as fast as they were in the previous years, but they are still going up. Now, home sales in Alameda County were down 21% from last year. That's not a big surprise there. The 5% higher interest rates have made a lot of buyers jump out of the market and also a lot of sellers. So obviously there's going to be less sales overall. Month to month, it was actually an increase of 7.6%. Now, unsold inventory in Alameda County was 1.4 months this August. This is a very unhealthy level of supply. Supply is extremely low. In a healthy market, we typically see anywhere from 4 to 7 months of inventory. This was an increase month to month from July to August of 7.7%, pretty minimal there, but it is down 30% from last year. So 30% less homes for sale in this current market than there were last year. Now, the median time it took for a listing to sell on the market in Alameda County this August was 12 days. That was an increase of 9.1% from July. Seems like it's easing up a little bit. It's a little bit easier to purchase a property as a buyer in Alameda County. However, However, it is down 29.4% from last year. So things are selling that much quicker in Alameda County this year compared to last year. All right, now let's jump into Contra Costa County. So in Contra Costa County, the median price of a listing was $844,440. That's a lot of fours. This was a change of 6.2% negative from July. So prices are coming down from July to August, and it is down 0.7% from last year. It's pretty much almost the same, maybe just slightly lower than last year. Nothing huge there. Home sales are down 19.8% from last year. This is again because of the much higher interest rates, and month to month they are up 2.1%. From July to August, sales are actually ramping up in both Alameda and Contra Costa counties. Now the months of unsold inventory was also 1.4, which is exactly the same as Alameda County. That was a 0% change from July, and it's 33.3% less than last year. So 1/3 less homes than there were for sale this time last year, which is pretty significant when you think about it. All right, now the median time on market was also 12 days, same as Alameda County. That was a 0% change from July, and it was a 36.8% decrease from last year. Almost 40% more competitive than it was last year. That's what that's telling me, which means that things are selling faster. There's more competition and more people trying to make offers on that property. All right, now San Francisco County. Now, like I said, this is completely different from Alameda and Contra Costa counties. The median price was 1.576 million. That was an increase of 7.9% from July, but it is down 3.6% from last year. This is the most significant decrease from last year out of these three counties. In Alameda County, it's gone up 2.5%, and in Contra Costa County, it's gone down 0.7%, which is not even 1%. So it's pretty much the same as last year. Moving on to home sales. Home sales decreased by 22.2% from last year in San Francisco County this August. That's pretty much along the same lines as these other counties. So it looks like there's been about a 20% hit in each of these counties in terms of home sales. However, month to month, it's gone down 7.1%. In the other two counties, it was actually increased from July to August. Unsold inventory in San Francisco was 2.9 months this August. This is the most inventory out of these three counties. It's for the same reason that competition has significantly decreased in San Francisco County since the pandemic. Month to month, that was an increase of 38.1%, and it was an increase of 31.8%. The level of unsold inventory is 31.8% higher than it was last year. And in Alameda and Contra Costa counties, it's more of a 30% decrease. What that's telling me is probably a lot of the listings in San Francisco are far overpriced. I've actually seen them myself. A lot of sellers still have a mindset that they can get pre-pandemic prices or even 2020 prices, and that's just not the case anymore. There's not as many buyers. There's not as much demand in San Francisco County. The prices were extremely inflated when a lot of folks still thought they needed to live close to their offices and things like that. But now that they don't, demand has decreased significantly. A lot of the overpriced listings are sitting on the market for hundreds of days, 200, 300 days, and sellers are not willing to budge. That goes into my next point when we're looking at median time on market, and the average listing in San Francisco County this August was on the market for 47 days. I think it's because there's quite a few listings that have been sitting on the market with sellers not willing to budge. So on average, it's taking a lot longer for a listing to sell in San Francisco County compared to Alameda or Contra Costa counties. It was an increase of 34.3% from July, and it was an increase of 23.7% from last year. Overall, it's taking way longer for a listing to sell in San Francisco for obvious reasons. My thoughts on the market are that, a lot of sellers have a mindset like, oh man, I should be able to get the prices that I could have got last year or the year before, and that's just not the case. I mean, interest rates are way higher now. There's a lot less buyers that are willing to pay prices with these much higher interest rates. You have to put yourself in a buyer's shoes and realize that 5% higher interest rates means that your payment is going to be incredibly, incredibly higher. Prices actually have held pretty stable despite the much higher interest rates. And so it's still a good time to sell if you need to sell. If not, the interest rates are probably going to come down next year, and that's going to cause an explosion of demand coming back into the market. market. It's also going to cause a lot of sellers to decide to sell who have been putting it off because of the higher interest rates. That's something to keep in mind. If you're a buyer and you've been looking to get into a home for the last 4 or 5 years, maybe even more, I really do think that now is a good time to buy. You know, there's a lot more options on the market. There's a lot more things that are staying on the market longer these days. The sale prices are actually a lot closer to the listing prices now, whereas before, like in 2020 and 2021, we would see a listing listed at $699 or $799 and it would sell for $1 million, maybe even more. If you're in a city like Berkeley, maybe it would sell for $2 million, things like that. I saw listings in Berkeley regularly sell $1 million over asking price. This is the type of market where if you can find something that is maybe not fully move-in ready or something like that, you can get a much better deal on it because there are less buyers looking for those type of listings right now. Most of the buyers are being more picky now because there is decreased demand in the market. You know, they just have the ability to be more picky than they could have been in 2022 or 2021 or 2020. So I would say if you can find something that fits your lifestyle and is good for you and your family, I would go ahead and pull the trigger. Even though you're going to be paying a lot more interest up front, interest rates are bound to come back down, and whenever they do, you can refinance into a lower payment and make it a lot easier on yourself financially. So if you've been thinking of buying or selling in this market, as always, I'm here as a resource for you. If you've been on the sidelines looking to maybe move into one of these cities or counties, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to dive into the numbers with you. There are some cities where there are a lot more opportunities than others. Like Castro Valley is very competitive right now. There are some other cities that maybe aren't quite as competitive. If you're interested in a specific area, please reach out to me. I'd love to provide you with some resources. Sellers, you know, like I said, it's still a good time to sell. If you don't need to sell, however, I think it'd be a better time to sell maybe next year when the interest rates start coming down. Once they go below 5%, I think there's going to be a huge explosion of buyers coming back into the market, and it's just going to be crazy. Things are going to sell way over list price again. Inventory is also going to increase, but all the demand that's been sidelined this year is going to come back into the market all at once, and it's going to be a crazy market. So as always, I hope this helped you guys. Feel free to reach out to me with any other questions. Let me know if you want me to provide data on another county, like some of the other counties that we used to look into in other videos, and I'll be happy to help. And I will see you guys next month for the next market update.